Excavations are high-risk operations that require careful planning and the adoption of preventive measures to ensure the safety of workers and the stability of surrounding structures. Excavation planning. Operational plan. Before excavations begin, an operational plan must be drawn up that includes the methods of execution, the location of the excavation area and its dimensions, analysis of the soil, including any interference with underground utility networks, water, gas, electricity, stabilization and containment measures, preliminary surveys. Preliminary surveys must be carried out to identify the presence of underground utilities or cavities. If such interference is present, protection or diversion of the same must be guaranteed. Excavation stability. Wall containment. For excavations deeper than 1.5 m, the walls must be protected with shoring systems or suitable reinforcements to ensure stability. If possible, adopt a slope of the walls that prevents landslides or subsidence. Periodic checks. The walls of the excavations must be inspected regularly for signs of instability, especially after atmospheric events such as heavy rain or frost. Protection of the edge of the excavation. Parapets and barriers must be installed to prevent people or materials from falling into the excavation. It is forbidden to accumulate materials or equipment at a distance of less than 1 meter from the edge of the excavation. Access and activities in the excavation. Safe access. Safe access systems, such as ladders, walkways, or ramps, must be provided to allow workers to enter and exit the excavation. Presence of personnel. It is not permitted to work alone inside the excavations. The presence of an assistant on the surface must always be guaranteed for emergencies. Signage. The excavation area must be marked with visible safety signs, indicating the risks present, such as the danger of falling and excavation in progress. Protection against specific risks. Risk of landslides or collapses. During excavation operations, workers must keep a safe distance from unstable walls. Emergency equipment must be present to deal with any collapses. Risk of hazardous atmospheres. For deep excavations, the possible presence of gases or oxygen-deficient atmospheres must be checked using appropriate equipment. In the event of a hazardous atmosphere, workers must be equipped with respiratory protection devices. Water management. Measures must be taken to drain or pump out any water infiltrations, preventing them from accumulating at the bottom of the excavation. Machinery and equipment for excavation. Maneuvering. Machinery used for excavation, such as excavators and mechanical shovels, must be operated exclusively by qualified personnel with the necessary authorizations. Stop. While the machines are operating, it is forbidden to stop in the maneuvering area or in the immediate vicinity. Maintenance. The equipment must be regularly maintained and subjected to periodic checks to ensure its efficiency. Materials and waste management. Storage. The resulting material must be stored in dedicated areas, maintaining a safe distance from the edge of the excavation to avoid overloading. Disposal. The waste resulting from excavations must be disposed of in accordance with current legislation, with particular attention to potentially hazardous materials. Dangerous materials. During excavations on construction sites, it is essential to pay particular attention to the following potentially hazardous materials and substances. Toxic gases and vapors. They can accumulate underground, especially near landfills or in areas with distribution networks, in areas with poor ventilation or near underground pipes. Examples are methane and carbon monoxide. Radon gas. Radioactive, it is found naturally in the soil in some areas. The greatest risk occurs in deep excavations and unventilated areas. Dangerous chemical materials. For example, hydrocarbons, due to contamination from old service stations or industries. They are potentially carcinogenic, flammable or explosive. Also industrial chemicals, from residues of pesticides, solvents, or chemical materials in contaminated soil. Dangerous fibers and dust. Asbestos, the most obvious, can be found in old pipes, ducts or buried landfills. It is highly dangerous if the fibers are inhaled. Crystalline silica is present in some types of rocks and soils. Prolonged inhalation causes silicosis, a serious respiratory disease. Dangerous residues or waste. Buried waste from old toxic material deposits or industrial waste. Metallic materials, such as electrical cables, corroded containers or rusty tools, which can cause injuries or contamination. Underground networks and infrastructures. Gas pipes, with risk of leaks or explosions. Electrical cables, which can cause electrocution if damaged. Sewer systems, with possible exposure to toxic gases and pathogens. How to prevent risks. Soil assessment. Preliminary analysis to detect the presence of contaminants or dangerous materials. Portable detectors. Instruments for monitoring toxic and flammable gases. Specific personal protective equipment. Masks with filters, gloves, helmets, safety footwear, harnesses and resistant clothing. Ventilation. Ensure adequate air exchange in deep or closed excavations. Signaling. Identify and clearly mark any materials or areas at risk. Health surveillance. Workers involved in excavation activities must undergo periodic health surveillance to monitor any health problems related to exposure to dust, gases, or physical effort. Training and information. Risks. Workers must be trained on the specific risks of excavations and emergency procedures. PPE. Workers must know how to use the required PPE, helmet, gloves, safety footwear, harnesses, masks, etc. Interference. Workers must avoid simultaneous work by teams performing different activities in the excavation areas. Emergencies. Evacuation procedures. A specific emergency plan must be prepared for excavations. First aid equipment. Fire extinguishers and first aid kits must be present near the excavation. Emergency numbers. Emergency numbers must be clearly visible and available to all workers. These requirements are essential to ensure that excavation operations are carried out in safe conditions. It is everyone's responsibility to respect the rules and report any risk situations to the site manager. Safety begins with prevention. Safety is not a document, it is a commitment. Your life and that of your colleagues are our goal. But also yours.